Tag Team Champions, Extreme Thunder. And you're listening to the Smack Raw Podcast, baby.
Hey folks, welcome to the Smack Raw Podcast, a wrestling recap show. We cover all your WWE, AEW, NXT recaps, reviews, pay-per-view predictions. Like always on the Monday show, it is Kyle and Vince over here. Joining us on the show, of course, is Mean Jelly Bean's own RN. What's going, RN?
Hey, how you guys doing? I think this is my first Raw. This is the only show I haven't done yet.
There you go. Check it off the list, man. Check it off the list.
Yes, sir.
Oh, shit. I just realized, man. I forgot my hat. My dome reflecting some shit over here. I just realized that.
Hey, man, embrace it. Just go with it.
At my traveling hairline, I forgot my hat, too. You know what I'm saying?
That's what made me commit, man. That's what made me commit. Just, it started going, and I was like, it's all gone. I think balding looks worse than bald. Like, I was like,
Absolutely.
I can't do the balding look, but I'll rock it bald.
I'm going to rock the horse. I already told my kids I'm embarrassed. I'm going to rock the horseshoe for a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. Don't do that.
I'm going to rock it.
You're going to embarrass us. Don't come on to the NXT podcast with that horse shit.
I'm coming in with like Hogan every show. You know, bro.
Oh God.
Stop it.
You seen Hogan with that beard? Man, Hogan looks badass with the whole full beard.
He does.
You know? I mean, he's still a piece of shit. But
he's trash.
Yeah, but he looks awesome, man. Looks awesome with that beard.
I thought it was the one dude from the Tiger King documentary, the one dude that was always with the monkey. I thought that's who that was when I first saw the picture.
Hey, listen, if you guys haven't already caught on, not that we gave you any indication, but we are a wrestling recap podcast. You can find us on all your normal podcast apps. We stream live over a bunch of different platforms, and we got a nice program called Restream. It allows you guys to chat in any of the live chats, and it'll get to us. Go ahead and hit us up. Talk about anything in that chat, and we'll go ahead and give you a shout-out on the air. We always love the fan interaction here on the show. Today we're going to be covering Raw, and overall, man, I'll come out and say it. I'll start off with this one. It's actually pretty damn good for being such a controversial going live and all the other bullshit surrounding it. In a nutshell, it was actually pretty damn good, man. We had a story progression, you had a new faction, like the official faction debut. I know Vince is over there. I was gonna give you the day off, but I was like, dude, I don't think Vince will take the day off, man.
Yeah, no, it was pretty exciting because this is something I've been wanting to see for Andrade ever since he came up. No, actually, ever since he hit his strides as an NXT champion, this is something I've always wanted to see him do. Lead a faction as like the head leader of the faction, the top heel, with Selena being the mouthpiece and her recruiting a bunch of different talent. And it slowly happened. It wasn't the people that I initially thought it was going to happen, but I'm completely 100% on board with everyone in that faction.
Yeah, I got a question really quick. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but before I forget,
No.
I hate to say, like, through this whole thing, one glaring question came up for me is, does Charlotte speak Spanish? Because
she knows a little Spanish. Like Andrade has been teaching her some.
Because I don't, like I said, I'm not knocking anybody. You know what I mean? Trust me, trying to learn a different language has got to be tough as hell. But Andrade doesn't strike me as he speaks almost a spick of fucking English.
But he does.
He does. The fucked up part is that I don't remember who tweeted this. It might have been RN that mentioned this, but for whatever reason on TV they make him sound like he speaks worse English that he actually does. Both him and Asuka actually speak very good English to the point where you can carry a full-blown conversation.
That was me. I seen him before at a live event. He speaks English, and it's not like broken or terrible like Shinsuke's. Like, he can speak the language.
Okay,
he can speak the language.
Yeah, because the impression I got last night, I'm like, when he hopped on the mic, I was like, damn, this guy. I was like, it sounds like he doesn't really speak much English at all. Maybe he's struggling learning it. And I was like, wait, how the fuck did him and Charlotte get along? Like,
yeah,
man. So, all right, cool. You answered my question.
All good.
Yeah. All right, what'd you think of the new faction, man?
Well, as Vince knows, like on our NXT show, I've been pushing Austin Theory and like trying to get Vince on board with him for about a month now. So me and him both. I mean, this lined up perfectly for us. It's our
Both
two
our
favorite
guys.
dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you pick the NXT, one of the NXT guys that the RN's really behind, Austin Theory is one of those guys up there with Matt Riddle and like Shayna Baszler. And
Yeah.
then for me, like I worked myself into a shoe, and now I'm the biggest Angel Garza fan there is. And I always felt that since Garza debuted, he was a perfect fit with Andrade and Selena Vega to recreate.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, to like recreate like a Los Ingobernables type faction in
Yeah.
WWE. They always had that vibe. Honestly, like Ingobernables, I wanted Humberto to be in there, turn heel, because honestly, him as a babyface. Wait, fuck is going on? I think,
Man, I did not think this through.
screw it. We'll do it. We're doing it live, Kyle. We're doing it live. But yeah, Humberto, I feel like needs something, and I feel like him as a babyface in that role isn't like really hitting the spots because he isn't able to like be charismatic. He's just another like generic athletic babyface, and I think Humberto needed that. But I also like Austin Theory because his character is just perfect for what Ingobernables back in Mexico was with Andrade. With Angel Garza, perfect. Selena Vega as the mouthpiece. And if you go back and look into the OG Ingobernables that had Rush and Andrade in it as La Sombra, they also had Naito, who was a foreigner. So this could be their foreigner, and it works perfectly as long as the attitudes mesh. And it looks like they carried on an entire theme throughout the entire show, which is what I love about this.
Me too.
The only thing I hate is that why build up this faction as a force and then have Andrade lose almost clean at the end? And it's like, I get it, Drew's your top champion.
Damn, bro, you just going into spoilers, man?
I mean,
we gotta run down the show. Like, you just like instantly like, let's just.
Yeah, because I got some shit for that too. But my thing is like, I'm here for it. You know what I'm saying? And also, the only thing I'm worried about is that Austin's not gonna get enough mic time because they got Zelina. Because to be honest, I think he's on par with her on the mic, or maybe even better if we're keeping it 100 for real.
Does it surprise you that he hasn't done anything in NXT in terms of win-loss record and is already on the main roster, and he's had only one win on Raw? Like, I get it, he's good, but like he was really hot-shotted to the main roster, and I'm not saying he's not ready for it, because he's clearly more ready, like character-wise, than a guy like Apollo Crews or Ricochet when they first came up to Raw. But he needs to step up his ring gear game, and two, maybe this is just a perfect opportunity. I think it was just terms of circumstances because of everything was happening. He lives in Florida. He happened to be there, right place, right time. He took advantage of it. He's not going back. We were wondering if he was Raw or NXT. He's Raw. He's not. This is going to be like almost like 2 months now, going on 2 months he's been on the show. He's Raw. Honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised he got called up this quickly.
My thing is like, but what I've been telling you, like he has been pretty much had Evolve on his back for about a year and a half almost before
Never
he
knew
came
the guy.
there. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't. Like, he is built for this. Like, he is a professional wrestler, and his mic skills is better than probably half the roster. And that's not just me saying that because that's my guy. Like, him on the mic is ridiculous. Like, his ring shit is dope. He's great in the ring, but his mic skills are what makes him a cut above. And I think that was a lot of the reason why they brought him up. But that's what I'm saying. Him being in his faction with them having a mouthpiece, that part's kind of like, man, you're not going to see the best part of his character because she's talking for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he strikes. Honestly, the real thing I just like about it, all the great stuff about his past is all fine and dandy. It's just nice that they're pushing some youth, like some young guys. He obviously looks like he's in his young 20s.
I think he's like 23 or 24 or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, in WWE main roster terms, a young guy is like typically somewhere between 29 and 35. That's your young roster.
And Kyle, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like months back, you were talking about how like the one thing that AEW was doing as opposed to WWE was pushing younger talent, and you were alluding to Umberto coming up so quickly and having that young look to him, so that you see these characters grow up, get better, and like these new generation of fans are like, oh, that's my guy. That's who I grew up watching. Now I'm seeing him evolve, kind of like what we're seeing with guys like Edge, Randy Orton, and John Cena. Those were our guys back when I started watching, and then now they're like the top guys, like they're legends, they're OGs.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not overly concerned with the fact that he is. Adam Taylor says his favorite wrestler is Conor McGregor. Get the fuck out of our chat, man. No, I'm just kidding, man. Thank you for joining us.
One of my favorite wrestlers.
But that's why I don't care so much about Zelina being his mouthpiece or him not being utilized to his full strengths right now. Is like, hey, look, man, the guy's super young. He's on the show. Let him just. This is how it starts. This is how it gets the ball rolling. Just let him be there, and time will tell what'll happen. You know, so.
I just want him to add another member, man. I hate these. Like, every group doesn't have to be 3 men, bro. Like,
well, let me ask you this: would you not argue that Selena's the 4th member because she does wrestle now?
She does wrestle.
Like, yeah, but I mean, that match was that's her first match. Wasn't like a year, damn near.
Yeah, but I don't think that's on the fault of Selena. I mean, I'm not the big Selena guy out there. I'm not gonna sit here and like die on the hill for her. You know, I'm not gonna go out on the limb for Selena Vega, but she can't go in the ring. Stop it. She's way better than the Summer Rae. She's way better than Eva Marie. She's way better than even Adina Brooks. She can go in the ring. She has some lucha background. She's not an in-ring technician. She doesn't have the amazing psychology of like a Bret Hart. But if you put her in the ring, honestly, I say she's a step above like Carmella or even Liv Morgan. And
I totally agree. But I mean, are they going to actually give her those matches? Or are they going to give her ones like where she was pretty much squashed by Bianca? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just hate those 3-man factions. Like, bro, put some shit in it. Make it like 5-6. I don't care.
Yeah, man. Well, let's get into the show. I hate to, because we're gonna come right back to this faction because they're obviously the focal point of the show. They made their presence known the whole evening, including the opening segment, which we saw Drew McIntyre come out once again, breaking one of WWE's cardinal rules, is breaking the 4th wall, addressing the crowd, which I think is a nice touch, man. I mean, look back at Dusty Rhodes, man. The Hard Times promo. Telling people to reach out to him, those people feel that, and especially like right now. I mean, it's not like you can play to anybody else, so play to the camera. So I'm for that. He comes out, he commentates his own win over Big Show at WrestleMania after he beat Brock Lesnar, and then he opens, I guess, a challenge for pretty much anybody else to come out after his belt, which is the first appearance of Andrade with Vega. We were touching on earlier about Andrade's broken English. Essentially, they just lay down the challenge. That's the main event set up right there. And I think it's actually a really nice touch because you have the dynamic of champ versus champ, Andrade's official return, and it's, of course, the NXT rematch, in which case Drew lost his NXT belt to Andrade and then had that torn bicep, which they played that up the whole night too. So he had an easy story for the whole night set up right there in the opening segment, which was
Drew put over Andrade as a legitimate threat, which is something that I appreciate about Drew. He gets that old school mentality. Like, if I got to build you up, because when I beat you, it has to mean something because I beat someone of meaning. Because if I just sit here and shit talk you the entire time, I didn't beat anybody. And if you beat me, I lost to a nobody.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
I love that.
I've been on fucking Drew's nuts this whole time, saying this guy has the tools to be the next great champion, like legitimate, like to be almost like timeless. Like the man has what it takes to etch his mark in history for sure. We get a look at tonight's commentary team because it is a live show, so we're gonna get the full team of Tom Phillips, King, and Saxon. We're gonna touch on King. And we're going to ask the question, is King racist on the show? And we'll see what you guys think. But then we also find out, since it's Money in the Bank season, what do y'all think of these matchups? Because they say for tonight's show, we've got Asuka taking on Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan taking on Shayna Baszler, and then of course Kairi Sane taking on Nia Jax. Those are some banging matchups, right?
I like the matchups. The only gripe I have is the pairing of Kairi Sane and Nia Jax.
Yeah.
I knew going into that Nia Jax just recently returned. There's no way Kairi Sane is going to qualify for that match, unless I'm mistaken.
I got something for you when we get to that match, by the way, Vince.
I think there's only 3 slots, and I'm completely just like bummed out that Kairi Sane won't be in this match, and I think she deserves better.
You won't get that. You won't get that insane elbow off the ladder.
Right.
Unfortunately, man, because that would be fucking awesome. So we do get the first matchup, Asuka versus Ruby Riott, and this match was, in my opinion, way better than anyone gave it credit for. But then it dawned on me, Asuka's the damn MVP of the empty arenas. Like everything about her, between her comical freaking promos, her damn dancing, and then her match quality. Like this woman. Asuka reminded us in this match, and no knock to Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott did her part. She had a hell of a match with her. But Asuka reminded us why Asuka, in my opinion, needs to break away from Kairi Sane. You need to break the Kabuki Warriors up.
I think it's doing a disservice to both of them now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way more stock in Asuka as a singles competitor than as the tag team champions with Kairi Sane. And
as much as Asuka is top flight and probably is the best women wrestler to have, like people sleep on Ruby Riott. Like she can go in the ring. Like she's probably, the Riott Squad was like one of my favorite factions or favorite groups before they broke up, and I think that they did a disservice to all of them, breaking them up and feeding them to Ronda like they did. But
you like the Riott
people
Squad?
sleep on. Yeah, I like their dynamic.
I like 2/3 of the Riott Squad. I guess you can guess who I didn't like off that group.
Oh yeah, Sarah Logan's ass, but them together, like she served a purpose. Like she was the heater and first one to go in and get the shit kicked out of them.
Man,
you like them like going out like destroying catering and spraying like mustard and ketchup on random shit.
I like the idea.
No, I didn't like that, but I
like the execution.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is too. Like they were the only heels at the time, so they got fed to everybody. Like, and I feel like that did a disservice to them.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm just, I only play with you because Riott Squad, in fact, were actually trash. Moving on though, MVP. No, this match had some awesome spots. Particularly, Asuka reversed the Riott kick into an ankle lock, which honestly, the ankle lock looks. I like. I don't know, the appeal of like women doing it too, because the ankle lock's just such a badass move. Thanks to Kurt Angle. And then she turned the ankle lock into a German suplex, which Ruby Riott got dumped on her fucking head. And then, of course, followed that up with like one of the meanest Shining Wizards. Sorry to who is it that does the shiniest wizard?
That is Tegan Nox.
Tegan Nox. Sorry, Tegan. Yes, I'm sorry, man, but Asuka's got that damn that stuff on lock right now.
But it's not shinier than Tegan's though.
Ah, man.
That's the catch. That's the catch.
It's the shiniest.
It's not the best shiny wizard. It's the shiniest. So there's the difference.
NXT should do some camera work where it like ups the exposure and you get like a huge glimmer whenever she lines up for that shit. Okay.
I'm with it.
There you go. Do that, man.
They can do that now.
After several rolling pin attempts, like reversal pin attempts, Asuka does, of course, pick up the win with the Asuka lock. She's the first Raw, I believe, women's competitor in the Money in the Bank match, which is gonna be great. MVP. Apparently, his new character is he retiring or is he not retired? Because MVP introduces the men's matches for next week for their qualifying matches, which we're going to get Rey Mysterio taking on former Buddy Murphy, just now Murphy. Aleister Black taking on Austin Theory. That I'm hyped for. And then, what was the last one? Oh, Apollo Crews taking on, and I love how MVP hypes up, like, arguably the greatest ladder competitor, in all of history, and he's really hyping it up. And I'm like, is he talking Jeff Hardy? Is Edge back in ladder matches? Like... And of course, it's MVP himself.
I love that, man.
In a qualifying match. Here's the question. Does MVP win?
Hell no.
I know Apollo Crews had that badass match with Aleister Black last week.
Hell No.
It's still Apollo Cruz, though.
I think MVP is gonna win.
Yeah.
I
You
think
guys
he's
want to
gonna win.
bet? You guys want to bet?
I
$5.
I really don't know. If it was anybody else in that match, I would be
Right.
like, no, MVP loses. But the fact that it's Apollo Cruz,
$5 says Apollo Cruz wins.
$5, man. Well, you can keep.
I'll take that bet.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
I'll let y'all put money on it. Okay.
Okay.
I just don't
Cash
like.
App. Okay.
I just
after next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if it was anybody else, like, they completely shit on Apollo Cruz. They do this every time. They switch him over to this show. He has a banging ass match to start out. You think that they're gonna finally put some momentum on him to go to the show. Then he loses the next 10 matches and then he disappears off TV. They've done this to him twice already.
Yeah, man. And then going back to some other competitors, I share those reservations with later on in the show. Vince, I have so much of this episode. I just want to engage you in personally. But we'll get to that. We'll get to those spots.
Okay, perfect.
Aleister Black beats up my favorite guy, Oni Lorcan. I hate to say it, man. I love how
Throw up them L's.
God.
That's what he should be throwing up now, because that's what he's thinking.
Yo,
like, instead of the this or the this, no, just do the L, bro. That's why you're throwing up now.
We had this conversation on NXT about them. Like, they're literally enhancement talent.
Oh man, I hate it. I know.
Jobbers to the stars.
Dude, I love Oni Lorcan though. God, I love his character, man. And he was out there doing some. They had some good wrestling, like chain wrestling and stuff. But it's honestly probably just placebo on me. Me just projecting that Oni did great. Now he got his ass beat by Aleister.
If he was in
Black.
AEW, they pushed him to like the top mid card and challenging John Moxley for like a really hyped up like title match.
Oni would be in the Dark Order. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I know his spot.
Bro, that was just me throwing like a little jab at like all the Jake Hager hype and all this shit about Sean Spears and Lance Archer.
Yo, hey, apparently, really quick. Apparently, the pre-tape match that's going on this week on AEW between Jon Moxley and Jake Hager is being hailed as the best empty arena match in all of history. Is what they're hyping, and we've been hearing for like 2 weeks now that it's a banger of a match. But Tony Khan threw out the tweet that it's going to go down as the best empty arena match of all time. Just throwing that out there, man. So I'm excited.
I don't know, man.
I'm looking forward to Wednesday.
Johnny and Tommaso, Mankind versus The Rock. I don't know if they can top that. I don't trust Jake. I trust Moxley. I don't trust Hager at all.
Hey,
but
who knows? Maybe this is his star-making performance. Who knows? I'm not trying to say it will be, but I'm just saying. I heard about it. Okay, so I missed the Becky promo. I heard something about her comparing herself and Shayna to playing cards or something.
Basically, she was making a reference saying that this whole ploy that she was being too goofy or she was being overconfident, that was just an act and she played Shayna. And they were talking about who gets closest to the queen. The Joker gets the closest to the queen before it strikes her. All this other stuff, metaphors and innuendos that she threw out there. But that was the gist, alluding to the fact that she's at the top of her game. She was never complacent. She was only joking around, and she was acting arrogant, overconfident to lure Shayna into a sense of taking Becky lightly and underestimating her, and she was able to roll her up and get a clean win. Because the way she said it, like, look, she's a better in-ring fighter. Like, legitimately, she's the better fighter. But this is a different sport. I out-wrestled her. The goal of this profession is not to hit finisher after finisher after finisher. Despite what Goldberg and Brock Lesnar might tell you, it's to pin your opponent's shoulders to the mat for a count of 3. That's all. And she's been doing that. And they're slowly building her up as this person that's breaking molds and trends. Like, you think this is going to happen? No, the fuck it's not, because I am outsmarting everyone. I'm adapting. You guys are playing checkers while I'm playing chess. It's the way I'm picturing Becky Lynch, and I took out of that promo, is what she's basically saying.
I got a question though. Do you think that was the plan all along, or originally it was that she took Shayna Baszler too long, like we all speculated? And
I think that was
going to lose and be written off TV because her and Seth Rollins were supposed to take some time off, as reported.
Yeah.
But the coronavirus happened and all the shutdowns happened. And so they call upon their, arguably 2 of their biggest stars and like, hey, you guys, can you put your vacation on hold and help the show keep rolling, and they just threw an audible.
I'm going to go on the record to say that's exactly why Becky Lynch is still champion during these difficult times, these uncertain times. This is not the time to crown Shayna. It's the perfect time to crown Drew and like maybe Braun, because they would be losing. They would be like part-timers that wouldn't be there. They need a champion that they can rely on. They can rely on Braun to be there every week. They can rely on Drew to be the top champion, and he looks like he fits the bill. And I like Shayna. I think she should have won the title. But in terms of what we're living through right now, I think Becky Lynch is the perfect woman to hold on to that women's title, because she is one of the biggest faces of the company. And if she's not going to leave to take a break, just keep the title on her. And then you slowly build up Shayna Baszler back up, either by winning Money in the Bank and then cashing in on Becky, or someone else wins Money in the Bank and then cashes in on Becky.
Perfect segue, though, because we lead that straight into Baszler. Unless, Aaron, did you have anything to add to that? Sorry.
Nah, it's pretty much what I thought, too. I mean, you got to keep your – not just the face of the women's division, but maybe the face of the whole company. Yeah. You got to keep the belt on her.
Got you. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, too. That's pretty much – what after some time, because in the moment I didn't understand. I was like, shit, Becky won. And then after some time thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But Baszler, she is not taking that loss lightly, though, obviously, because we got her match with Sarah Logan, and she like she pretty much like breaks her arm in like one of the most horrific things. God damn, poor Logan. So Baszler, she's done this spot before, so I know it's all planned, but it made Baszler look like fucking terrifying.
The part I didn't understand is if she's unable to go forward, it wasn't a disqualification. How the hell did she get the win?
The ring announcer botched
the announcement. Yeah,
that's what it was.
They backpedaled that after the commercial break. So but we'll go ahead and touch on that. So before the match even starts, so Ronda's whole tirade, which hopefully you guys saw coming on Twitter, is official storyline, because Baszler was interviewed before the match even started. Like, Ronda Rousey made some controversial comments on Twitter. What do you have to say about that? Baszler no-sold the question and just went out for her match. But so Ronda's whole Twitter shit is official storyline by this point.
It's two things. It's either was planned storyline from the beginning, or it was so much. It was so much of a shoot and they saw that it was getting some publicity and some hype that they worked it into storyline. Yeah, it was one of the. I think
they worked it in a storyline because they don't have any control over Ronda, and they never have. No. She's always said whatever she wanted to do on her Twitter, even when she was under contract with them. This was a shoot. She did it on 2 or 3 different podcasts, and they just said shit. People are running with it and threw it in the storylines, which was smart.
Yeah, very smart, actually, very smart. Wish they could address the coronavirus for once, but hey, look, just baby steps, I guess. But anyways, Baszler's match with Logan was decimation. It honestly, it felt like it was 10 seconds long. Baszler throws Logan to the ground. Her arm is propped up, and Baszler just stomps the elbow.
Wait. We got to go back.
Yeah.
She double-legged her, and those punches she was throwing, them motherfuckers, some of those look like real punches. When she hammer fisted her in the side of the head a couple times. Sarah Logan was scrambling for her life, bro. Like that was probably one of the realest attacks I've seen.
I think that was by design. Paul Heyman's the type of guy that he likes realism. He was an advocate for like the Randy Orton Brock Lesnar spot at SummerSlam a couple years ago, and that's what they want to do with Shayna. I know for a fact Paul Heyman is a big Shayna guy, and he's gonna want to legitimize her, and that's what you do. Like her whole story is that she's going through the agonies of defeat right now, and that's the entire.
God help you if you're in her way, boy.
Exactly. I love it. It's perfect storytelling, and it makes it more interesting.
Yeah, they did the same thing too with her and with her and Becky's build for the WrestleMania match. They had that little brawl, and I noted that the body shots that they were throwing, the audio was literally picking up, and I was like, if you've watched MMA, you know the sound of when like a punch really connects, and they were working those body shots on each other. They probably shook hands like, listen. It's gonna hurt, but it's gonna look badass. And,
but also, to me, I think that I wish they hadn't had Sarah Logan like crying and shit like a baby afterwards. But her taking that beat down minus that, like for me, that was like, all right. I mean, it wasn't really showing much, but I mean, it showed that they know that she's tough enough to do it. And that might mean that maybe something down the road, maybe a little revenge factor or something for her.
Yeah.
Something to get people behind her.
Logan's gonna need
I'm just saying, but
something to give back, like just like a.
She needs to cut those damn dreads off and put some deodorant on. That's what she needs.
Oh my god. Let's move on. Yeah. So afterwards, there is no pin attempt. After Shayna stomps Logan's arm, the ref stops the match, and then the announcer announces that actually Logan won. But they backtracked that after the commercial break. It was a botch, and it was officially announced that Logan could not continue. Therefore, Shayna's the winner, moving on to the Money in the Bank ladder match. So it's officially announced that at this point in the show that the faction has formed. That Vega is officially the manager, and that's right. They did say that she's the manager. So she's not. It's not a 4-person faction. It is a manager with 3 people. Yeah. But Vega is officially the manager of Andrade, Angel Garza, Austin Theory, and this led into the Theory Tozawa match, and in which case Austin Theory does get the win. It was an okay match. It didn't showcase Austin Theory too incredible, but like I said, I'm just happy to see a young guy on the show. Right. And then the trio come out and beat down Tozawa, ultimately giving him a hammerlock DDT off the second rope or the second turnbuckle. They got to keep that.
No, it was the top turnbuckle. It was the top turnbuckle. Yeah, they got him all the way to the top because that's what they were addressing in the promo to start the show, where that's how Drew McIntyre was taken out for 6 months of his career and lost the title with that DDT. So leading up to that match, they were using the 2 matches with Austin Theory and the Angel Garza match with those beatdowns to signify how brutal this DDT, top rope DDT is. Okay. And I thought that was the story. And again, I love it. This reminds me of like old school, like Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression WWE, where they had an overlapping story that carried on throughout the end of the show. Like I remember clearly, like after the draft, there was a SmackDown episode where Booker T was drafted and was announced by Kurt Angle, and he just like, I hate it here, man. I miss Raw, and they show segments with him in the backstage area with the roster not getting along, segments with Kurt Angle, and then obviously the main event with Eddie Guerrero. And that's what I used to love about wrestling back in those eras.
How do you always find a way to bring up Eddie Guerrero in every fucking episode? You're like, I can bring this back to an Eddie story.
There's when there's a will, there's a way.
You take a draping DDT and still correlate it with Eddie Guerrero, man.
It's a gift, man. It's a skill, man.
Yeah, so let's touch on it, man. It's that part of the show. Is King racist? We go back into King always knows he has the inept talent to say borderline comments that could easily be interpreted as racist, but in fact are they? In this match...
I can't believe I'm gonna be the one to defend King, but I'm not defending. I don't think he's racist. I just think that he's tone deaf to the times and the shit that you can get away with. Yeah, ignorant as hell. The shit that you can get away with in the 90s, you can't do that shit now. It's just you just can't.
So the comment in question is during the Theory and Tozawa match, Austin Theory does a running senton off of the...
No. Tozawa does.
Excuse me. Yeah. Tozawa does a running senton off the ring apron, and King during the replay chimes in and says that is the ramen noodle moonsault. I guess correlating because he's Asian, you got to throw ramen noodles in there. Is King racist?
He says all this stupid shit all the goddamn time, and if it doesn't feel like it's just coming to him, I feel like he has these lines in his back pocket, and he waits for an opportunity to use them. And it wasn't even the right move. Like, that's what pissed me off even more.
He was like, I hope Tozawa does a moonsault. And he said, fuck it. He flipped. We'll call it.
I don't even think it was. I think the dummy just didn't know.
Yeah.
Another difference.
No, it's dumb. Like we've mentioned it. We got into a conversation with a gentleman on Twitter talking about how like he's done this before, calling the Kabuki like Asuka and Kairi Sane Kabuki Warrior number 1 and 2, and calling Humberto Carrillo a Mexican jumping beat. He makes these statements all the goddamn time. It stems from his bad like commentary back in the Attitude Era, where it was just glossed over and just like slap on the wrist and boys will be boys type of attitude. It's not the same. Honestly, has no place on commentary in WWE on screen. like in 2020 going forward.
It's not just that he has no place on WWE TV in 2020.
Yes, that is the
That's
more
what I'm
overarching, the more
He is a
overarching
throwback.
thing.
He's
Commentary,
a throwback to an era that does not
everything.
exist anymore, and that was good for what it was at the time, but it is not that no more. He literally brings nothing to the table. He doesn't know who any of the talents are. He has no idea any of the moves they're doing, and all he does is brings up same old ass jokes that all those things he said that shit in the 90s. The Mexican jumping bean thing, all of that stuff. Like those are all old ass jokes he recycled. He went back to his files. He's like, man, I still got it, and brought them with him.
I think it's just a case of like those old school wrestlers trying to like hold on to a little bit of what made them popular, made them famous, and that's what he was known for back in the day. So he's trying to find in between where he can say some of his vulgar stuff that made him popular, but also not come off as insensitive. But there's no way to do it because that Jerry the King Lawler character just doesn't fucking work. Period.
I will say this. He's got to have some talent to walk that tightrope as consistently as he does and still not manage to go over to Cornette territory. Talking about guys running through Africa with a bucket of KFC on their back.
But this pretty much was that.
It is.
This was that.
It is. Absolutely. But
he's not walking the line. He's fell off the fucking tightrope.
But what I'm saying, he still leaves room to argue. Where Cornette, there was no room to argue. There's still room.
Honestly, no. I think that the issue is that.
Hey, look, man. I trust your guys' opinion more than mine, so I'll go with y'all.
So like, I think the bigger overlining issue here is the head of the company and the company he's on currently, the company that employs him. If this was Impact Wrestling, we'd like fire him, and Impact Wrestling, well, we had to fire him. This was AEW, New Japan, NWA, any other wrestling promotion, they'd be like, he needs to go. That's insensitive. Like, bro,
you know what?
Get out of here.
What got me though is like, so I watch a lot of, the more popular wrestling YouTube channels in my morning as part of my routine. I watch stuff like, not so much What Culture anymore, but like, Cultaholic and Wrestle Talk, and I don't see anyone else bringing up this comment. Like, I don't know if maybe we're making a mountain out of a molehill, or if this just blew over and nobody else picked up on it.
I watched freaking the Going in Raw guys, and they alluded to it. They didn't go into it because they're two white guys and they don't want to touch on the subject too much because that's not their place to talk about. Relate. But look, man, no offense, man, but What Culture, Cultaholic, Wrestle Talk, a bunch of white guys. Like, true. What can they add?
I didn't even think about that.
It's not, but that's the thing. I think that's where we kind of get caught up and where shit like this gets brushed over and hidden under the rug. It's never going to be looked at as terrible or what it is if white people just don't accept it and talk against it. White people always want to avoid racism and pretend like it doesn't exist. Or don't. I'm just being honest.
Just pump the brakes a little bit, man. Like, we're on the air, bro.
I'm talking about like in real life. Like they want to ignore it or pretend like they didn't see it or hear it. If more white people stand up and say, look, bro, that's fucked up, then more people would take notice to it and kind of shun the shit. But everyone always wants to shy away from it and pretend like it doesn't happen. Like you said, because they're two white guys. So it's me. No, bring it up. Say it. That shit was messed up. And that ramen noodle shit was just as bad as saying the Africans and chicken. Like to me, it was the same thing.
No,
just a different country.
That Cornette one was nasty too, bro. That Cornette one was fucked up. Like,
Cornette
it's all fucked up, but that Cornette one was just like.
But in his defense, it was some old shit again that he brought up from back in the day. Something that
No, but what made it extra fucked up for me was the Cornette shit was pre-taped. They had
I was about to mention that.
Catch that. They had weeks to catch that, and they still put it out on the air. Where this shit is live. Granted, there is a little bit of a tape delay, but it's a little bit easier to slip that shit in there. Then
that goes back to what Vince says. It's like I said, if it's the WWE, so no one's gonna say anything. But NWA, it was all over their asses. Like
he was gone within 24 hours, I think.
Yeah, I don't even think it was
fucking.
I think it was maybe like 10 hours after the show aired. They had already suspended him and fired him.
Quick shout out to the Get Yo Podcast boys. They shared a video from the Hulu version, and they completely cut out the audio where he makes the ramen noodle reference.
I'm sure they did.
Oh yeah, I bet they did, man.
Yeah. So
No,
going back to Raw though,
Yeah, no, it was fucked up, but yeah, we'll move it along.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was just throwing the question out in the ether. Personally speaking, not now that it's gonna look like RN bullied me into it, but no, I legitimately spoke up and I
he
was
bullies
pissed
me
off.
into a lot of things on our NXT
Yeah,
podcast.
dude, like, no, I said it was fucked up. Go back to my Twitter timeline last night, man. I was raising all sorts of hell about that shit. It was fucked up.
We love you, Kyle.
Anyways, let's try to pick up from there. We got a short video showing Drew's path to Mania. Nice little touch. Rey Mysterio had an interview. He's determined to win his first Money in the Bank. He also showed off a badass new shirt, man. Fucking sign me up for one of Rey's shirts.
I think he had it for a minute, but he's just so low key with his shirts. He just
Yeah.
never plugs them like that. He's just like, "Yo, man, it's out there. You just got to look for it."
Yeah,
It's almost like he doesn't go out of his way. He's like, he doesn't. I don't know.
dude, he's
Because
a
he
living
don't give-
legend. He doesn't need to, man. You
He
know
don't
what I
care
mean?
about t-shirt sales no more. He getting that fat stack just to come here and show up for a little bit and dip. Yeah, y'all can you go ahead and sell them t-shirts, bro. Cool. Yeah.
Well, he's also selling a shit ton of luchador masks. A lot of Rey
Exactly.
Mysterio masks. Like you see those things everywhere, every show.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
He's got
man.
money coming in from so many different places. Like honestly, the merch profit that he makes is probably just him going out to lunch with his family. That's probably all
Yeah.
it covers. Because like that's how little it's impacting him. That dude's been balling forever.
Oh, forever, man. Oh, we missed earlier Seth's second promo. Apparently, he's frozen backstage. This man's been stuck backstage for 2 weeks. Just for, like in
I
the
really hope he
same-
was stuck there
the
for a
same
whole week.
spot, man. Like he can't go. But he's reminding us that our Messiah is still here, and only 24 hours after Easter, Seth too has risen. I was like, dude, I fucking love it. I do. I hate.
This is walking the line.
Yeah.
Is it messed up?
Yeah,
I like
I'll
it.
tell you the
Like, is it
religious
blasphemy?
people. A lot of the religious people who are like heavy religious, fucking completely appalled by his Messiah.
Yeah.
Just for him saying Messiah alone, just that
Yeah.
word alone. Yeah, they're like WWE is fucked up.
2011 CM Punk with like a word.
Yeah. No.
He took it to the
Hold
next
it.
level, man.
Dude,
He was
CM Punk
so
held a
funny.
sermon for like half of a fucking Royal Rumble match, which was
I love that.
low key terrific. Go back and watch that one.
Um,
Tahuti
The
Miles.
only thing I was gonna say
no, go ahead.
the only complaint I have for Seth is him looking like Jay White from
I think that's the point. I think that's the point. You're
He's-
supposed to hate how he looks, man. He's supposed to look douchey.
He
That's
strikes
part of the
me
game.
No, that's
as
not-
the
that's not what I'm
co-leader
saying.
from
I'm-
Far Cry 5 is what I've always been
Yeah,
saying.
it's like no, I get what the look he's going for, but what it looks like, he looks exactly like Jay White from New
Like
Japan
Switchblade.
when he was doing this. Yeah, the swing
Yep.
but switchblade. He looks exactly like him down to the gloves and everything. Like
Nice.
I'm like,
I have to see the comparison.
Yeah,
no.
I love Switchblade. I'm with it.
Hey man.
You know who else I love?
Angel Garza. He
Yes,
comes
there
out,
you go.
He gives a rose to a woman that is totally a real photographer, not a plant or his fiance at all.
I think it was his fiance,
Yeah.
to be honest, because they were not social distancing whatsoever.
Hell no, they weren't.
Maybe,
He's
maybe she's
taking
a special
on-
personnel.
Tahuti Miles. Now, is that actually his name in NXT?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I honestly gave no attention to, but it still rings up. I saw like maybe one or two posts asking if Tahuti Miles was a jab at Jordan Miles, and I was like, I don't think so, but I figured I'd bring it
No.
up to my resident NXT.
I don't know if this is. I don't think his last name was Miles. Was it? It was Tahuti something? Like I know he's done a couple times in NXT. Couple
It's
squash
Tahuti
matches.
Miles. I typed it out the second.
I'm
his
saying,
name-
like-
in
No,
NXT.
I don't think it was in NXT. I don't know. I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's one of those guys that's just been working on like the house shows, shows, and hasn't really been on TV like that. If he has, he's been on a squash match here and there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's just like reading too much into it. It could be
Yeah.
WWE being petty because WWE does petty shit all the goddamn time.
They are the king
But
of
I don't-
pettiness.
But regardless, I don't think it's too much to look too much into it. I didn't even consider it. I was more preoccupied and intrigued by the way that Garza went ahead and was
Landed
tackling
that.
on the
Nasty drop kick.
Yeah, like what I like about these empty arena matches is that like superstars like Garza, Drew McIntyre, and even Andrade are really thriving, and Aleister Black because you can hear their strikes and they sound more vicious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also too, like they're finding ways to be creative to get the attention and get their charisma out there. Like Garza grabbing the goddamn camera and zooming in. I was like, this is for all the ladies out there that love me and shit. This is for you.
Right.
And it goes back into beating the other guy's ass.
I love the commentary team was like, is Garza producing the match too? Like,
Hey man, he's a triple
To
threat.
me, hey, that's what I like about these no arena matches. Like, it's giving people an opportunity to be creative and fuck what the writers say, because the fans aren't out there anyway. Whatever, do what you got to do for the people at home to remember you, to tune back in to see you. Like, and I think that what we're at the end of all of this, the light at the end of the tunnel, is a lot of people are having to improvise and actually having to call upon who they are and what they got to see if they can make it moving forward.
yeah,
I think we're starting to see. I think we're starting to see a lot of wrestlers. You're seeing they're starting to separate themselves from the pack. The superstars that are thriving in the empty arenas are the stars that you can tell that they're good regardless of the scenario, the situation. And the ones that are lacking and aren't really doing much with that environment are the ones that is arguably you could say that they are the ones that need help. Like other stars like us, we were mentioning Asuka. You can go back to Bayley and Sasha. They're thriving in this environment. Drew is great. Edge, he does great work. Who else? Freaking Angel Garza right now as well.
Yep.
And Charlotte even too. Like later on in the night, we'll get to her in the.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can tell too, because a lot of the ones that aren't comfortable with it, they still go out and look and do shit like they're pandering to the crowd
Yeah.
instead of with the camera.
Oh, Miz and Morrison. That's what I was thinking about. In that
Miz
point.
and Morrison.
They're thriving.
They are terrific.
But I mean, they are. I mean, Morrison is ass on the mic, but as long as you got Miz there, it doesn't matter who's there. They can have mannequins in the damn ring with him.
Yeah.
He can have a conversation with him and get him over. So
Yeah, that's very true. Speaking of getting over, Drew had an interview backstage, continuing to put over Andrade for the main event match, and then we cut to the what was it? Was this the final? The final qualifying match of the night for Money in the Bank. Kairi Sane and Nia Jax. Now I gotta ask you, Vince, are you still not convinced that Kairi Sane is leaving the company? I've been trying to convince you for weeks now. Kairi Sane's on the way out the door, man. She is.
I can't tell if you're shooting or not. That's what I'm saying. I can't take you serious, bro.
Yeah, no, I am serious. I am serious. I've been telling Vince that, I mean, word has it. It's not like I'm coming up with a theory. I've just been following the crumb trail here.
But see, here's the thing. They have these reports about different superstars. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. That's the way I take these approaches, because until Revival left, they had one foot out the door and one foot inside of it.
Literally a year they've been leaving.
For a year, they're like, oh, Sasha Banks was rumored for almost a whole year that she was leaving. She was leaving. She was upset, and she's.
Oh man, I never believed Sasha was leaving. Like,
and then like, they had the rumors with Kairi, and they had the rumors with Io, and they all stem from Meltzer speculation. Like, I think they might be unhappy the way they're booking them, and it came from Stardom wanting them back.
No, with Kairi, it was back in October. It was reported that she didn't resign and has not resigned because she's exploring her options. So that's
but that's just smart business moves. Like the Usos didn't resign.
Yeah,
like they didn't resign right away. Like in this new era, they don't have to say like, oh, the allure of AEW there. They can just go back to Stardom and get paid more. And honestly, they weren't getting paid.
So how about this?
Get
your ass off the damn fence. Is she leaving or is she staying?
She's staying.
She's leaving, man.
I've been on that train this whole time. I'm on the train that she's gonna stay. I don't believe she's ever gonna leave. That's just people just trying to drum up some stuff. Until she leaves, I won't believe she'll be leaving.
What about you, Lauren? Come on, man.
She's perfectly happy there.
I don't think she's leaving either. I mean, because every time these reports come up, no one ever actually leaves. You can say the Revival, but it's been a year and a half they've been saying they're leaving.
The people that are actually leaving are like Brody is the
that was a year and a half too for Brody.
People that are leaving are people that WWE don't feel like they're top talent. They don't like, oh, we're not invested in these characters. They can leave. That's fine. We'll replace them. Kairi Sane and Io Shirai are two stars where, like, yeah, they probably don't use Kairi Sane and Kairi more than Io. Use them to the level they should be used at, but do also see the value in them, and they do know there's a legitimate, more bigger threat in Stardom taking them, because they were the Rock in Austin of Stardom over there in Japan for that
Oh
company.
yeah, they were.
Yeah.
No, I actually say that bluffing. I never watched it. But I did watch. I did watch the match. My favorite part about. I mean, Kairi Sane was honestly just like a hay bale for Nia Jax to be a farmer and just sling around. Like Kairi got tossed all over the ring. My favorite part of the match, however, was when they cut backstage to Asuka and she was actually looking at the TV. None of the whole like sideways looking. She was looking at the TV, dancing and cheering. Like
It was like a happy medium that she found.
it was wonderful, man. It was comical too. Like she was screaming like she wanted Kyrie to hear her backstage. Like
I'm pretty sure she could. There's no audience.
yeah,
Right.
I'm about to
I'd
say
have
that's
heard
true.
it.
You probably could, man.
Yeah.
So Nia Jax, she used this finishing move last week, right? The Annihilator, where it's the military press to the Samoan drop
Yeah.
No, last week she won with the Rampage.
with the Rampage. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Yeah. This also the military press to Samoan drop got the official name. Then I guess on this week it's debuted as the Annihilator, which I think is the perfect move for her. For Nia
Yeah.
Jax, man,
Better than the Rampage for her, because the Rampage
looks like
looks
it will
better when
legitimately kill someone.
yeah.
You know, like that is for somebody
she's-
who might be known for injuring people. That's quite a dangerous move to try and pull off on a regular basis. Just
Well, I think it's just like she's a bigger wrestler, and then like if Big Show tries to hit a Rampage like a DDT like that, it's like, bro, you're the Big Show. You probably cushioned the entire fall, as opposed to someone like an Aleister Black hitting them. Like, oh man, he hit it with precision. So it's like it worked for Paige. I don't think it worked for Nia. It looked cool when she did it. It's just that this Annihilator is a way better finisher and it fits her better.
I got you.
Yeah. My thing is that with the Samoa drops and shit, like I just don't.
Hey man, if you're someone, you have to do it.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
the rule. That's the
hers
rule.
does look dope though with the gorilla military press into it.
Mhm.
But I mean, like it as a finisher move, like for me, it's always been like, yeah, all right, what is this, 1912?
It is kind of a transitional move that the Usos do. The Usos do the pop up into the Samoan
Yeah.
drop, you know. But I mean, I'll give it. I mean, Nia Jax has all that weight because that's arguably where the power comes from. Is she's throwing down her weight on you with the Samoan drop? So I'm for it. Like I said, I said this last week on last week's Raw. I wanted Nia Jax to get rid of the leg drop. In fact, I want the leg drop to be done with altogether because of the damage it does to people that do it on a regular basis. Looking at
Becky
Hogan.
Lynch doing that from the middle rope.
Yeah,
She needs to stop
exactly.
that.
Like I think it's terrible for your spine. You hear all these stories of Hulk Hogan apparently is 3 inches shorter from when he started his career due to all those damn leg drops. Matt Hardy's
Right.
lower back is fused together from doing all those leg drops. Like I feel like the leg drop just needs to be abolished, man. It's essentially it's a pile driver, just not on your damn head. You know what I mean? So you shouldn't be.
Just think about how far medical stuff has come where
Yeah.
a leg drop, the most basic and literally almost meaningless move there is, except for when Hogan does it, that it's caused that much damage and done that much screwed up shit to people's bodies. A
Yeah.
leg drop.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's so weird because and it's such a like depending who does it, like you said, it's a worthless move that does nothing. But yeah, like I said, with Nia Jax, I'm glad that she's getting rid of the leg drop. I think that's actually a very good call. What'd you think of Charlotte here? That Charlotte beat NXT's next big thing, so Charlotte is the big thing.
She's finally hit that Ric Flair level of swagger on the mic, and you feel it every time in the ring.
Right.
She's saying bullshit. She's talking out her ass, but she has this swagger and carries herself like she believes it. So she makes you believe it for a second. Like I was reading her, listening to her promo about how she didn't want to face Becky and Bayley because she's been there, done that. She's beat them multiple times. But you look back in the history, and they actually have beaten Charlotte more
I was about
than
to say,
Charlotte.
go back to Bayley.
Bailey has her number, and then she was. I liked how she was saying that she went for the NXT Women's title because it was something new, and Rhea stepped up to her, and Bailey and Becky didn't step up to her, and that's why she went up to Rhea. And I liked how she name dropped Io Shirai. She's like, she's the next one in line. I'm gonna humble her.
Well, yeah. So it's official. Like the reports were Charlotte's going to be working both NXT and Raw. So she's still officially a Raw superstar, and so that allowed them to brand her. She's the first Raw superstar to hold an NXT title.
Which is not true.
Who else?
Kevin Owens was the NXT champ when he first came up.
Kevin Owens was
but he was
officially
still
an
NXT.
NXT roster member. He was still officially NXT.
Technicalities.
Yeah, but I'm saying, man, that's what they go by. I mean, how the hell do you think they have so many like worlds first, or histories first? Is they love the technicalities.
They make their history.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
I'm excited for this. I was hyped for the idea of Charlotte winning the title or just going to NXT period because I wanted to see her work with wrestlers she's never worked with before, because on Raw and SmackDown, for the most part, she's worked with just about everyone there is to work with, other than like maybe Kairi Sane and Bianca Belair, which are two matches I really, really want to see. But you have Io, you have Candice LeRae, you have Mia Yim, you have, who else am I drawing a blank on?
You just named the worst people besides Io, but keep going.
What do you mean? Stop talking bad about Candice LeRae and Mia Yim. Stop.
All right, save this for the NXT show, you guys. Let's move on.
But there's a list of talent that I want to see here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, man. I'm hyped for it, man. I am. Another thing I'm hyped for is the divorce between Bobby Lashley and Lana. Lashley has a match with No Way Jose. During the match, you can hear Lana on the outside shouting commands until Lashley gets in his wife's face and just yells, "Shut the hell up, man." He goes
Whole
in
ass
the
mood.
goes in the ring, does his business, lands the spear, beats No Way Jose. For a moment, I was convinced that No Way Jose might actually pick up a win over Lashley.
Yeah, I was about to be like, God damn, they really gonna do Lashley this bad? Let Jose.
If it was Baron Corbin, he would have lost because it was a roll-up.
Yeah.
Right.
Baron Corbin loses to roll-ups. That's his kryptonite, man.
I'm so done with them damn roll-ups, brother.
Oh man.
Wrestling.
So this is the official segment of the night where I once again get to tell Vince I'm right, and I'm always right about how I talk about and how I perceive certain wrestlers. Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, they cannot avoid the L's. They face Viking Raiders, put on a hell of a match. By the way, were you guys aware that Cedric and Ricochet, they ride together and they fly together? That alone.
Too Fly. I think that's the name that they're gonna go with. Is Too Fly.
Jesus Christ, man.
I'm with it, man. Maybe I'm just a corny like mid
The ring gear
twenties.
was nice. The ring, so they're official tag team because they got matching ring gear.
They
You know what?
need MVP.
Yeah, I'm with
No,
you on
actually,
that.
I saw a glimmer of hope, and even Kyle saw it too. Was Ricochet's trash talk during the ring, which is something you wouldn't be able to listen to and
Yeah.
capture with the crowd there. The empty
was-
arena as allowing Ricochet to trash talk.
I was
Listen,
appalled.
Trevor and Cedric Vanilla need somebody to talk for them. Like, I love them both in ring. I actually like Cedric Alexander a lot. Like, he's probably one of my he was probably one of my favorite things about 205 Live, and like him in the ring, top flight, like legit, like one of the best wrestlers in the world. But Cedric Vanilla has no character, no charisma. His wife is the most charismatic person in their household.
Yeah, it's true. Talking about big.
I don't
Swole,
understand.
Right?
Yeah, I don't understand how she is so dope and like so charismatic. You can't take your eyes off of her.
And
she's married to him.
him. That's jacked up, man.
Well, he needs to start coming out to Soul's theme song, man. It's a banger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say this. I will say this. I couldn't believe I actually found myself giving Ricochet a compliment last night, and it was his trash talk in the ring. It actually sounded pretty cool, him shit talking Viking Raiders as he was getting his offense in there. But I will say this. Let alone how I feel about Ricochet and Cedric, because I know I'm right. They're going to keep losing. Them paired up with the Raiders had damn good chemistry, though. Like, they put on a hell of a tag team match. And all I could think about was the Dudleys and Hardys when they would have table matches. And so I was calling for it. I was like, man, I know there's no storyline for it. But I was like, I bet the Raiders and Ricochet and Cedric could have one hell of a tag team tables match. And not
that goes-
that
Goes
shitty-
back to them being great in the ring. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like,
not that shitty first guy through the table loses it for his team, total elimination. You know what I mean? Because you can get 3 tables broken. You can get like 3 to 4 good table spots at that rate, you know? And I'd be all for that. I know it makes no sense. It won't happen. But I was like,
Maybe you could plug it into number one contenders for the title, because I think that's why Viking Raiders won, is because they're lined up to go into a program with Street Profits.
Right.
And Cedric and Ricochet, I think they're not going to stay this incarnation. This isn't their final form. I think they still have a level to get to, and that's when they're slowly going to turn heel and get cocky and just turn on Street Profits, and that's what we're going to go with. Viking Raiders are going to be the first step. Street Profits have to get by them because they've never beat Viking Raiders to solidify them as top champions, and then that's what Cedric and Ricochet or Selena's boys, they go ahead and get the better of them and get the titles off of the Street Profits after a month or so.
Oh, yeah.
Can we just acknowledge that Raw actually has a tag team division now?
Yeah,
I love it.
I'll give them that. Yeah, I'm with it, man. They have
Out of nowhere, within like
All right.
2 weeks.
RIP NXT's tag team division, though.
Yeah, like I said, I was going to touch on that and a couple other things when we wrap the whole show up, because this episode of Raw was a particular eye opener. Because it wasn't the Raw after Mania. Raw after Mania made a statement, but Raw after Mania always attempts to make a statement. Today was when we got a feel of like, okay, this is what we're getting, and I think
The landscape is.
Yeah, I think it raises a couple talking points that I want to get into. But first, after the tag team match, where of course the Viking Raiders ended up winning, with a botched Viking experience, unfortunately.
Terrible.
Yeah, that got botched pretty bad. The tag team champs backstage, Street Profits, pretty much announcing they're going to be taking on the Viking Raiders, but they're joking, they're clowning like they always do, and I love that Bianca Belair is there to play the straight man, like get them like, dude, stop taking them lightly, stop joking, man. She even brought up the point. She's like, how many times like have you fought the Viking Raiders?
And they beat that ass.
Yeah, like what happened every time? They beat you every time, and this segment, my wife was watching with me. In that, like the 3 minutes they were on screen, if that, my wife became like the biggest Bianca Belair fan right away. Like, dude, she fell in love with Bianca's character, man. And then not to mention Bianca and Montez Ford, and the trio as a whole, have insanely good chemistry. Like on-screen chemistry, man. Yeah,
that's how you could tell they're together all the time. Like it's natural for them. Like there's no like awkward pauses, or there's no like them trying to catch up to what the other one says. They're playing tennis back and forth, just like that.
I love that. After Bianca lays the verbal beatdown on Montez Ford, and like she has that like intimidating stare, she blows him like a subtle kiss to like punctuate the segment. I laughed my ass off at that.
I loved it.
Was that not the most husband and wife segment ever? Like, bro, get your shit together.
It was charming as fuck, man. It was charming as hell too. It really was. Yeah, that just screamed married couple right there.
Right.
What I loved about it was the fact that Bianca has said something that I've been saying for the longest time on the show and on Twitter and everywhere, is that I love Street Profits, and this is more or so for Montez, not Angela Dawkins. But Montez Ford, even in serious situations, finds time to squeeze in a little goofy in there when it doesn't call for it. Like sometimes I wish he just flip a switch and stop being goofy and go right into him just being serious. Because even Matt Riddle can be stupid goofy, but when it's time for him to be serious, he goes into serious. And I think that's what Montez is missing, and this could be the catalyst for that, because he's not going to ever reach the top champion, like Kyle's saying, being the world champion, which I think he could be down the line.
Hell yeah.
He's never going to get to that point if he's just going to be goofy
like
guy.
A Jim Carrey-like character at all times.
I believe the phrase you guys are looking for is called shucking and jiving.
Yes.
And I hate that shit. It makes me sick to my stomach. But they had to do it. It worked for them. It got them on Raw. It got them over. But sometimes, like for me, like with black characters,
been evolved now, man.
Yeah, with black characters, they always have to be this like weird ass like shucking and jiving, dancing, hip grinding shit. Like, no, why can't they just be badass and have charisma and go out and talk shit like Seth or anybody else does?
I get you, man. A lot
like
of times,
minority characters always have to have some stick. They can't just be badass.
Dude, even with like badasses like Eddie Guerrero, like they were goofy. They like to party. They like to drink.
Yeah.
They steal. They ride lawnmowers, or they can't speak English, or they're like heartthrobs, or like like little things like that, and it's like I get where you're totally coming from, because even like greats like Eddie Guerrero, you still like he had his like that's why I
He's
feel
still
like it's
shimmying and shit, like always got to be dancing and shit. Like
he
that's
was
not
looking
black.
elite.
I don't know if y'all know this, but not all black people can dance.
Not all Mexicans can dance. Man. I'll tell you right now.
No, I got nothing for this segment. So, let's go on to the main event, man. Let's wrap it up here because we're going on an hour and 10 minutes almost. We got Andrade and Drew McIntyre. This match was unfortunately kind of like a letdown. It was quick, and you knew it was gonna be too because I looked at the clock and there's like 5 minutes left. It felt like in the show. So honestly, the match was all right, but Drew overcame all the odds. He beat everybody up. He beat up the whole faction. Got the win over Andrade, and then Garza came in and chop block Drew McIntyre down. This prompted out Seth Rollins. That looks like that's the next feud we're going to get. Seth hits a super kick and then follows up with 2 curb stomps to sign off the show.
Had the belt upside down to have the M for Messiah, too.
I didn't even realize.
I saw that on Twitter. I'm like, dope. Okay. Stealing the Miz's shtick.
That was exactly what I thought. I was like, that's kind of the Miz's thing, but hey, whatever. But hey, man, I'm here for that feud. I mean, why not? It's a good first feud for Drew.
I'm here. I think it's gonna be fire. But my thing was like, you spent the whole night setting up Andrade and them and everything, and then you just throw water in their face at the end. Yeah. Like to me, like this is their 50-50 booking shit all the time. Like they should have ended the match with. It should have been a quick disqualification.
You know what it should have been?
Andrade's group should have came in, beat the shit out of Drew, and left. Then Seth came in, but they took all the thunder away from what you built up all night for Andrade and his group. Like that type of shit always to me bites them in the ass. Like they can't just let shit ride out and give people their due. It always has to be, well, you got this shot, so they get this one back on you. Like it made no sense to me. This whole episode was dedicated to them. Yeah. And then you do that at the end of it, like it just, I don't know, it pissed me off.
No, I believe. Honestly, I see it. I see that.
It didn't piss me off. It was more of a like, damn, I really wish they hadn't done that, because if you like you said, Kyle, the way it ended with Garza coming in and hitting the chop block, you could have done that. Like maybe he's going to go set up for a Claymore or something. Chop block, gets the DQ finish. They beat on him a bit. And then Seth Rollins comes out to capitalize on what they were doing, and then
exactly
move on. What they were mentioning on the Going In Raw podcast that I like the idea of is that maybe these guys are going to do something that Paul Heyman likes to do, and back in the era that they used to do, is that they're going to be interweaving in a bunch of different storylines, and they're going to have their hands on this storyline and that storyline and this storyline. So maybe this Drew storyline isn't necessarily just for them, but they could be into something with the Street Profits. They could be like fucking with like Umberto over there, like messing with Rey Mysterio.
No, I get all that, and I think that is going to be the case. I think that
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, after tonight, I hope that's the path I take.
I just feel like
similar to like the NWO or Evolution, where they would target everyone there, and they were the bullies of the locker room.
Yeah. But my thing is like, you did all of this. This whole episode should have been called Andrade and the Crew, and then you shit on them at the end of the main event.
I agree. I agree.
Like, it made no sense to me.
It was a stumble, but it was only week 1. There's these things. That's the thing is.
It was a fumble, man. It was a fumble. That's what it is.
And what we do here is we put everything under a magnifying glass, but when a lot of stories have to take time, and not everything is written perfectly right out the gate, anyways. But I think the overall arcing thing here is there's 2 really big things to touch on. First, what you said, RN. Raw's got a legitimate tag team division. They've got you got your current champs, you got the Raiders, you got Two Fly, Jesus, and then of course you have the new faction. You can make tag
Selena's boys. Yeah, I'm gonna call them Selena boys until they get their own name.
Okay, I'm with that.
No, man. So yeah, you've got some great tag team action, and the other thing I think the bigger thing was what I was telling Vince last night. We're seeing a rise of people rising to the occasion, when a lot of the times when WWE is in a hard spot, like the Ruthless Aggression era and the brand split and everything, you see these relatively unknowns or people that are overlooked on any other week rise to the occasion and make stars out of themselves. And we could very well be seeing that. Think about how many new people are getting the attention, and not only getting attention, but actually making Raw, elevating the show.
Right.
Andrade's whole faction. Andrade was easily overlooked, although he was in a better position than everybody else, but Andrade was constantly overlooked. Angel Garza was essentially a nobody to most casual fans. And same thing with Austin Theory. And now you have a known faction that they obviously have something in line for to allow them to take over the entire night. On top of that, you got Cedric and Ricochet, people that just got demoted to main event, are now a tag team on Raw.
Down the line, Bianca, Apollo Crews.
Bianca, yeah. Apollo Crews. Aleister Black is now coming out weekly doing his thing more, So I was telling Vince, I wouldn't be surprised if we find ourselves a couple years from now, a lot of these people that we're seeing are established stars, and then we get a badass documentary how this whole virus,
COVID-19.
how
this is going to be dubbed the Essential Era. Like, we had the realistic question, the Essential Era. This is what this era is. I saw that on Twitter. I want to give props to whoever tweeted it. I don't know, man. It was just on my timeline. But WWE needs to do two things. Essential Era, that's what this needs to be dubbed. And two, they need to do a WWE 24 of this entire situation.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a 365.
My thing is that, for me, like in wrestling, being a wrestling fan my whole life, like the amount of black people that are in high positions and like that the company is actually giving time and credence to and letting them show that we can be stars too and not just be the thug or other shit like that. Like for me, like this is dope that I get to show my daughter awesome black women wrestling and black men in prominent positions in the sport that I love and that she loves too. Like, so for me, like, I hate to bring the race card into it, but like there's I don't think I don't remember an era was this many people of color in prominent positions in this company.
No, I kind of agree with you. I mean, obviously I'd like to sit down and think about it, but my gut reaction is I can't think of a time. No, man. And I do think it's wonderful that, because yeah, you're right. It is something that, like, man, I don't like want to say just dub all white people, but it is something that we do overlook a lot of the times. You don't think about shit like that. You're just like, fuck it, man. These people are entertaining. They're who I watch. And shit like that does get overlooked and people can be dickheads about it too.
You know what? Not only that, like I see a lot of times, like they look over a lot of like women product, and that's another thing. We're having diversity not only in race but in gender and even like in everything else, sexuality and everything. Like it's very diverse. Like AEW more so than WWE. The AEW really lets everybody be themselves a little bit more than WWE. But even WWE, they're doing a great job of being a little bit more diverse than we normally do. But we're still not there. I feel like we're barely like we're getting the appetizer course of what we'd like to see. But
we're week two in. You know what I mean?
But you got to also think for WWE, whose whole gimmick since they started was racism and weird quirky shit going on. So for them, to me, as a black person watching this is fucking leaps and bounds compared to prime time and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Jesus Christ, man.
And I seen a rumor they might be coming back.
Hey, I'm with it, man. They look great, man. For like,
they're both like huge now. Like if you can imagine Shad being bigger than he already was, but I seen a picture of him on like one of the reports, and
they're yoked.
Yeah, they are. But I'm just, like I said, like it's dope to me to see. Like I said, I never would have thought that my favorite wrestler would be a woman. Like I never thought that I would ever say that.
Hey, man. Yeah, no, that's true. Like what a day, what an era of wrestling that we're going through, man. And we'll just have to wait and see what comes next. Like I said, thank you guys for joining us. I think that's our show. Make sure to tune in tonight and tomorrow for a very special punishment episode. We got Jay Thunder enduring the Toe of Satan, which is essentially, yeah, man, dude, Jay. It's essentially like a Carolina Reaper pepper lollipop that he is going to have to keep in his mouth while he answers some stupid ass trivia and interview questions. We're just gonna make our boys suffer. We love you, Jay. But yeah, you're gonna be suffering tonight, man. Make sure to tune in for that. Otherwise, you guys know when to find us. Wednesday nights we cover NXT, AEW. Fridays we're doing SmackDown, like always. So thank you guys for joining us once again. Make sure to go ahead and check out Mean Jelly Bean. If you caught the green screen in the beginning of the episode, that was one of their music videos. What was that? Sandwiches and HJs?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god, dude. It's hilarious. Go check it out. But until next time, man. Y'all have a good one. Y'all can say bye. Just say bye, man.
Peace.
There you go. All right, sweet.